Can everybody raise their hands if they recognize at least one of the games up here? Oh, nice, okay. So we've got some 90s kids in the room as well. So if you recognize one of these games, we probably have something in common. We're part of the very first generation to grow up with computers in their homes. And these 8 games defined my childhood. Does anyone recognize the first one? Nice, yeah, okay. So I learned multiplication and long division by shooting down enemy spaceships and math blasters. I learned how to type by feeding a chameleon letters in Mavis Beacon. Yes. I learned logical reasoning by making pizzas for small blue monsters and zambonis. I learned French by this friendly, furry, green extraterrestrial, Le Grand Monsieur. And I practiced history with Oregon Trail and Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. And I'm thrilled to know that I'm standing in a room of people bringing these experiences to future generations. A room of people who believe that games can be powerful and fun learning tools. So I'm Rachel, and I've been working with NORAD, the Norwegian Agency for Development Cooperation, for the last 10 months. I spent the last 6 years working as a digital and later as an insights manager for a AAA console gaming publisher. Now I work for a large search engine. But sometime at the end of October last year, a colleague at work approached me. She had received a call from the White House Office of Science and Technology, and they were interested in getting gaming professionals involved in a project. Those kind of calls don't happen every day. Also, former administration. So they were interested in getting gaming professionals involved in a Norwegian government-funded project, which was using games to address one of the greatest educational challenges of our time. And that was, how do we ensure that children with no access to school still receive an education? So I'm here today to tell you a story about 2 innovative games that are doing just that. And I'm here to invite you to join that collaborative effort. So taking a step back and looking at the challenge, today 60 to 65 million people are in forced displacement, which is the largest number since World War II. And it's estimated that 50% of refugee children of primary school age are out of school, and 75% of those of secondary school age. Syria's civil war is the single largest source of refugees worldwide, and Syrian children are especially affected. The most recent estimate is about 2.3 million Syrian children out of school, and there's an urgent need to ensure their access to education in order to prevent those children and young people from becoming a lost generation. There are several challenges associated with providing education to refugees. Firstly, it's hard to establish enough schools for refugees, especially in enough locations. Most refugees are displaced across neighboring countries, and for Syria, that means Turkey, Lebanon, and Jordan. There's also a lack of learning materials and resources, and many parents, although well-educated, are too burdened with finding shelter, work, and protection to be their children's sole educators. Syrian children must also cope with trauma and high stress levels, which also affects their learning ability. And so the Norwegian government, represented by NORAD, and international partners, including All Children Reading, a grand challenge for development, and the mobile operator Orange, started looking for creative solutions. They found that Syrian households, despite having lost nearly everything, still had high smartphone usage and occasional access to internet. So what if we could give these families free, downloadable, self-learning tools that required limited help of a parent or educator? So learning games were a natural fit. It was decided to narrow in on games that could help Syrian children learn how to read Arabic. And so in January 2016, NORAD launched an international innovation competition called EduApp for Syria at a $2.8 million USD prize purse, and there was worldwide interest. By April 1st, the organizers received 75 bids with prototypes. That was through further testing and by a jury of international experts, narrowed down to 5, and further to 2 grand prize winners. Feed the Monster, developed by a consortium led by Apps Factory, and Antura and the Letters, a mobile game led and developed by a consortium led by Cologne Games Lab. Today, you can download these games yourself for free on Google Play and App Store by searching for EduApp for Syria or the names of the games. Both games, since their release not so long ago, have received strong reviews and have been downloaded about 30,000 times in relevant countries. The target group is Syrian children ages 5 to 10 who are unable to attend school or who are struggling to learn in school, and they can use these games as learning supplement. Throughout the competition, there was a lot of focus on making sure that these games were highly intuitive, children could play on their own, and that they had a positive user experience and that they kept coming back to play. This is Feed the Monster. The friendly yellow guy you see is Washun. He's a friendly monster who's been driven away from his village by an evil character named Tarbut. But as you play with Washun and as you learn Arabic, you help the friendly monsters evolve and prosper. Feed the Monster's developers include the International Rescue Committee, and it has kids collect and raise pet monsters through feeding them the right Arabic letters, syllables, and words. This is Antura and the Letters, the second game, which help kids learn to read Arabic with Antura, a friendly dog who loves adventure. The goal is to solve puzzles and earn prizes while helping an old shepherd and Antura manage a collection of wild letters that slightly resemble sheep. So let's hear from one grandmother what she thought of the EduApp for Syria games after her grandchildren played the EduApp games for the very first time.
والله أنا انبسطت يعني بهاللعبة، يعني أنا كبيرة انبسطت، يعني شلون هن انبسطوا هيك صغار يعني وهي ألعاب أطفال هيك انبسطوا وفرحوا. يعني بدنا نحن يدرسوا ويكبروا ويتعلموا، وإن شاء الله نعوض الأيام اللي راحت من إيدنا بأحسن بإذن الله. يعني أنا حبيتها.
So both of the games are free and less than 100 megabytes, which makes them easier for Syrian families to download wherever they are living, whether it's in a refugee camp or a more permanent dwelling. Once downloaded, the children can play the games offline, so they can learn from anywhere. In addition to benefiting out-of-school children, the games can also be useful for Syrian children who are going to school in a non-Arabic speaking country. Usability testing with Syrian children has been a part of this project throughout, and we're also gathering more scientifically robust evidence. An impact evaluation with a fully randomized control trial is taking place in the Azraq camp in Jordan with 900 out-of-school Syrian refugees. It will measure the impact of two factors: one, children's literacy learning, and secondarily, their psychosocial well-being. Initial finding will be shared at the Gates Grand Challenge event in DC in early October, and the evaluation is being financed by the All Children Reading Partnership. UNICEF's Innovation is also funding more qualitative usability testing and research by New York University's Glass Lab. And this will help provide input to the game developers on ways that they can improve the current versions of the games. We've also received significant interest in localizing the game. So in addition to being globally available and free, these two apps are open source and available on GitHub, so they can be adapted for languages other than Arabic, benefiting the greatest possible number of children over time. We're seeing significant interest from other partners. For example, an NGO, Curious Learning, has already agreed to make 4 language versions already that are in development: English, Spanish, Swahili, and Portuguese. I've tried the English version myself already, and I actually hope to see it available on Google Play and Alpha in the next few weeks, so you can try it for yourself. And according to Curious Learning, there are very few high-quality open-source literacy apps out there, and they discovered to their joy that Feed the Monster was very easy and cost-friendly to localize. They did some research into what literacy apps were available in a range of languages spoken in developing nations, and they found that for several languages spoken by tens of millions of people, there are very few or no native language apps available. They are prioritizing localization of Feed the Monster by native speakers, as well as where they have partners, and they're augmenting the game with vocabulary-based exercises to learn words and concepts, as well as stories to learn grammar and practice reading. I'm happy to put anyone in this room in touch with the localization team at Curious Learning if you're interested in the new language versions, or you can help with outreach to ensure that these versions help those most in need. In summary, education is a fundamental human right, and all children deserve an access to education. Access to devices and information, however, is a great educational equalizer, and games are powerful learning tools to reach and engage the next generation of children. Going back, you saw this little girl on an earlier slide. Her name is Marwa. She's 6, and she can't read and write just yet, but after her first time playing the Edgerat for Syria game, she learned 4 new letters. So we're hoping for many more examples of moments like this in the months to come. So how can you get involved? There's an amazing number of organizations and individuals already involved in this project, but for games, who can really match the expertise in this room? So I said that I was here to invite you to join a collaborative effort, and this is what you can do. You can share the message by collaborating. We have both posters, we have social media assets that you can share, and the first thing that we need to do is make sure that the highest amount of Syrian families know about these apps and how to download them. We're already collaborating with Turkcell, who is promoting these games in their next version of the Hello Hope app. You can also play yourselves and promote the local language versions. Thank you very much, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me.